With the UK 2015 general elections taking place on May the 7th, the polls show that it will be one of the most closely contested in history. Prime Minister David Cameron, as well as leaders from the other parties, have been campaigning hard up and down the country in the hope of winning support. And the Afro Caribbean community could play a key part in swaying a final and ultimate decision of who will lead the nation. Research by Operation Black Vote shows that people from ethnic communities could decide up to 160 seats in Westminster. At a recent political party debate in London, we spoke to members of the Conservative, Labour and Liberal Democratic Party to see what they were doing to attract votes from these communities.
I think it's about two things. The first is it's about doing the right thing for them in government. And I think we've seen some real progress. More people from BME communities in work, more people from BME communities in apprenticeships, more people starting business, more people going to university, big fall in the number of unemployed people. It's all, I think, a positive part of trying to help ensure that if you're a young person growing up in a BME community, you have exactly the same opportunity as everyone else. But the other thing we're doing as a party is we are now much more representative of the nation that we seek to represent. We have BME members in government, we have BME members of parliament, we have a large number of new candidates in highly winnable and sometimes safe seats. I think as a party we are changing to reflect the country we live in.
Liberal Democrats are providing policies that are really going to make a difference for the lives of BME communities. For example, our emphasis on education to get equality of opportunity for all. That's really important to help those people get on in school. But we're also making sure that there are jobs. Economic recovery is something Liberal Democrats have been part of. Things like apprenticeships, the massive boom in apprenticeships to help younger people get skills is something that Liberal Democrats have pushed. It's been our policy. So those sorts of things I think have really helped. And I'd finally focus on the fact that it's been the Liberal Democrat policy to increase the personal tax allowance. That's seen 3 million low-paid people taken out of income tax altogether, and I have to tell you, disproportionately, BME communities are low paid. It's a shame that it is the case, but therefore our policies have helped the BME community in a way which, if the Conservatives had been in the coalition by themselves, simply would not have happened.
The first ethnic minority MPs were Labour MPs. The first African MPs sitting in the House of Commons were Labour MPs, and I'm very proud of that. But when I look at our record in office, in terms of increasing the numbers of young people going to university, ensuring that they had support before then, reducing the inequalities in the criminal justice system, we made a huge difference to people's lives.
Immigration has been another issue that the community has been keeping an eye on, as there's been a lot of rhetoric on it in the build-up to the polls.
The issue of race, colour, creed in our country is very different to the issue of immigration. You know, we benefit from being a country that has diverse communities that bring enormous strengths to our society. Young black sports people make a huge difference to our sporting success. That's a very different issue to saying, actually, high levels of immigration put pressure on schools, put pressure on hospitals, put pressure on housing. There have to be limits to the number of people who can come and live here.
The way the Conservatives have talked about immigration has almost been like the UKIP. It's demonised immigrants and people blame them. That's just simply not true. It's politicians who are to be blamed for mistakes in government policy, not immigrants. Immigrants have made a fantastic contribution to Britain. Britain is a society of immigrants going back not just decades but centuries, and it's made our country the fantastic country it is. And the language that Liberal Democrats use is to celebrate diversity, to celebrate the diversity in the way it makes our society richer as well as our economy more prosperous, more creativity, more ideas. So Liberal Democrats will change that language. David Cameron criticised multiculturalism and attacked multiculturalism. Nick Clegg for the Liberal Democrats opposed him and talked about the value that Britain gets from a successful multicultural society. So I think that's a key message.
If you believe immigration's been a good thing for our country, as I do, then it's really important that you vote. Because if you don't vote, it's the people who think it's been a bad thing whose voice will be heard. All that people ask for is that we have a firm and fair immigration system which properly controls who comes in and out, and that if you want to take out of our system in terms of social security benefits and entitlements, you pay in first, and we don't have undercutting in our labour market, which is bad for people coming here but also bad for people who are already here. But we do need to change the whole tone of the debate around immigration in our country, which is doing our history a disservice. And that requires leadership, but we can't change the debate unless everybody gets involved. And I'm very clear that we need to change the debate. The Labour Party is very proud of the multicultural heritage of our country. It has enriched us, it's made us a better place.
Afro Caribbean and Asian people are still far more likely than their Caucasian counterparts to be stopped and searched by police in England and Wales. That's according to a report by the Equality and Human Rights Commission in 2013. Overall, people of Afro-Caribbean descent were 6 times as likely as their Caucasian counterparts to be stopped.
Well, we are already taking steps to deal with this issue. What we have is a situation where stop and search has caused real disquiet in the BME communities. Theresa May's Home Secretary has moved to put much tighter rules around the use of stop and search in a way that I hope will address many of the concerns in the communities that I know about and understand.
With the Afro-Caribbean voters' voices key in the May polls, we went to the streets of London to speak to them and see if they would be voting.
Are you going to be voting?
I will be voting, yes.
Yeah. And what are your major issues?
Probably just housing, because I'll be interested in buying a house sometime in the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who will you be voting for?
Considering Labour, because I've heard about them cutting the stamp duty, things like that, but I'm still not sure about it. Still deciding. Yeah.
Why are you sure?
Still interested in hearing what other parties have to say, so I'm going to read up about it, then I'll decide who I'll vote for.
I'll definitely be voting.
Yeah. And
Yes.
who are you voting for?
I'll vote Labour.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because they have a much more inclusive social policy. They are not all about money making, but like I said, social. They've got a better social thinking, and by that I mean housing, general welfare of the less privileged.
Will you be voting?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. And who will you be voting for?
Most likely Conservative.
Yeah. And why is that?
Well, to be honest, I probably trust them more than any of the other parties. Yeah.
What are your main issues?
Main issues is employment, because I can't get a job anywhere.
Yeah, I'm voting, definitely voting, yeah. I'm voting on for Labour, yeah, that's it, yeah. I'm voting for Labour because there's the party for the people, yeah. It's not conservative at all, yeah.
I will.
And who will you be voting for?
Conservative.
Why is that?
Because they're a party of the entrepreneurs.
Okay.
That's what I like about them. They encourage people to go out there and fend for themselves.
And what are your major issues, would you say? Health, housing?
Employment, housing, especially here in London. Apart from that, community relations maybe.
Employment, housing, things like that, give jobs to the youth. That's what we need now. So that's what we need. Right wing. David Cameron, always. Yeah.
So are you going to be voting?
Yes, I am.
Who are you voting for?
I'm going to make it obvious, Labour.
And why are you voting for Labour?
Hopefully they'll give us a little better opportunity for our, young students like myself, Hopefully the community will be probably better than it was before, because, yeah.
And what are your major issues, would you say? Education, housing, immigration?
Well, it comes around to everything, really. It depends on the background. Everyone has individual issues, so I can't really talk for everyone, but for myself, it'll be probably the whole lot, really, yeah.
They are care for the children, they are care for the family, so that's why always we vote for Labour.
Okay, that's good. And what are your major issues?
Yeah, education is, they do very well in education as well. So that ones, and they are look after us proper, especially they are like, especially black people, they are like them. So that's always we vote for them.
Some voters we spoke to said they weren't going to vote, while another was not going to vote for the main parties.
I am not voting. I'm not voting for anyone.
Why are you voting for anyone?
Because why vote for any of them? when all the laws, regulations, all the rules are going to stay the same, really. You know, the poor are still going to stay poor, the rich is going to get richer, and that's forever going to be the same. So unless they have real elections where people can nominate credible people from society, yeah, to run their areas and run their constituency and all that stuff, then it's pointless.
I don't know, I always vote for Green Party, but they never get elected. So I think the best choice, second best choice, will be Labour Party, to be honest. Yeah.
What are your main issues?
I don't know, I just feel like not much has changed, not much has got better since the last election. So I'm hoping that bringing in a new party will make a difference. Yeah.
Any major issues, immigration, education?
There's been a lot of major changes to education, so you know, I've got a baby, so I'm hoping that Labour Party will focus more on education and not change so much and bring it back to traditional, because I think that's when education was better. Now they're getting rid of all the exams and everything, so I'm hoping that they bring it back and change everything.
So, as it's general election time come May the 7th, it will be seen if and which party would have managed to woo votes from the Afro Caribbean communities.